Okay, here we go. Now I've got my chicken thawed out, which I got this big family pack of chicken breast. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 8 chicken breasts in here. I took 2 chicken breasts tonight and I cut them in these little pieces like this. Cut them up, then I seasoned them really well. Salt, pepper, and some lemon pepper. So that's what, and then I just cut them up and I'm going to brown them in the skillet real quickly. Then I've got this McCormick 1 skillet creamy chicken and vegetable. If I didn't have this, I'd probably just use a little bit. I would make my own like sour cream white sauce if I didn't have that little packet. So then I'm going to saute some mushroom. Once the chicken's ready, I'm going to saute some mushrooms and saute the spinach, and I will show you some more when my chicken gets done. But real quickly, I'm going to brown it on both sides, and I'm just doing it in like 2 batches so I don't crowd my pan. So this is the first night of what I'm going to have with these 8 chicken breasts. And real fast, guys, I was going to pop on here to say what I do, how I thaw my chicken out is I just get it out of the freezer. I put it on a baking sheet and I set it in the refrigerator overnight to thaw out. So that's how I thaw out my chicken. Okay, so this first batch is ready. So I've just got some paper towels over in a bowl. You can use any bowl you'd like. And then you're just going to take your chicken off and get that excess oil, the paper towels to get the excess oil off. So I'll put this in the bowl and then I'll put the second batch of chicken in the skillet. Be right back. Alright, so now I've got all of my chicken cooked. It's ready to go. So I'm going to put it all in this bowl, and that paper towel will just allow that excess grease to kind of drain off the chicken so it's not so greasy. Here you'll see me, I'm going to pour off the grease that's left in the skillet. To me it looked like it was a lot of grease, and I thought it was way too much to saute my mushrooms. So I poured it off in a bowl, just kind of set it there in case I needed to use it. And now I'm going to put all my mushrooms into my pan and let's get our mushrooms sauteed. Doesn't take very long, though. You'll see them, those start getting soft as you're sauteing them. So you can try one and eat one after a couple of minutes and see if it's soft enough for you. People like theirs at different stages of softness. But I did take, like I said, drained all of that grease off into that bowl. But here you'll see, once I start kind of spreading my mushrooms around, trying to get them layered or covered with just a little bit of grease, I can tell that I need to put the grease back in the bowl. So, you know, that's just, it's better to me, safer to me to take the grease out of the skillet first and then kind of see how much grease you need to put back into the skillet. So that's what I did. So obviously I needed to use the rest of that grease. I just poured it back into that skillet. And now here I'm going to go, I like to use butter when I'm sauteing any type of vegetables. To me it just gives it such a great flavor. And I like to use real butter, not the fake stuff. So I always buy the real butter in a stick form. To me it's just easier to kind of get the amounts that you want to use. So I think this is about a half a stick of butter. And I'll just put this in here and finish sauteing my mushrooms up with this butter. Alright, so I'm just showing you guys here that I'm just using just like a pat of butter. I'm not using that much, but enough that it will give these mushrooms and our vegetables that we're going to saute a really good taste. So, okay, so the butter's melting, and so while that pan is good and hot, I am going to take the spinach and let it start wilting on to the mushroom mixture. So I will use this whole bag. We really like spinach at our house, and so I do like to buy those big tubs of spinach that they have that's got a lid on it. That's my favorite thing to buy, then because it lasts a little longer and then I've got it for the whole week. But right now I'm doing the Walmart pickup and they didn't have those available, so I just got a bag of spinach. So we all know that spinach wilts down to a little bit of nothing, so it does take a pretty good bit of spinach. That you need a pretty good amount of spinach for this recipe. So I'm going to salt it just a little while it's sauteing also. So once it gets sauteed, I'll show you that it just takes just a few minutes to get to wilt down, and then we'll have our mushroom and spinach mixture all ready. Now here I'm going to add in this creamy sauce. Now if I did not have this packet, I happened to just pick this up one day weeks back before all this corona stuff started out of the seasoned aisle. I just grabbed it. But if I didn't have this to put in this recipe, I would just make up my own like sour cream sauce. I would put some half and half in there. I would put some whipping cream in there, some salt and pepper, and a pretty good bit of sour cream. And sometimes I even take like a little bit of cream cheese if I have that in my refrigerator. That's odd to kind of throw in there to give it a little thickness. And then that would be and some Parmesan cheese. That's kind of how I make my white sauce. If I didn't have this little bag, that's what I would do to make a white sauce for this, because I feel like this spinach and mushroom works better with a white sauce. So that's one way that if you don't have any type of already pre-seasoned package for a white sauce, you could just do what I just stated with those, and just kind of, like I said, I don't really measure stuff. I just kind of throw it in as I go along. So, and here, if you've not tried cauliflower rice before, you are so missing out. We are big rice eaters at our house. We pretty much put rice with everything. But since we found this cauliflower rice, it is a great substitution. I feel a little bit better about eating a little second helping when I'm using this. But I haven't tried to buy like the cauliflower and make it from scratch yet. Let me know in the comments if any of you have done that. I feel like it might be cheaper that way, but I do buy these packets. It takes about 6 minutes to cook, and this cauliflower rice is fabulous. So here I'm just going to plate this up, and I'm just putting the rice on the bottom, the mixture on the top, and then, like I put on almost all of my dishes, Parmesan cheese on the top of it. And y'all, this was so quick and so easy. Really, the time consuming part was just cooking the chicken, and that really didn't take very long either, as you can see here. So supper is ready for the night. Okay guys, so we have supper ready for tonight. I've been back working a few days at work, so just what I did is I just thawed out those 8 chicken breasts, and so I used 2 tonight to make our chicken and spinach and mushrooms. So that should be enough for Derek and I to have tonight and then tomorrow night. And then I'll come back and cook another home cooked meal with 3 of the chicken breasts. I'll make something out of that, see how long that lasts. And then the last 3 chicken breasts, I'll make a meal out of that. So I just kind of wanted to show y'all how we could really take some chicken breast and make a whole bunch of meals out of it at once. So it's chicken all week this week, guys. So, okay, see you on the next one. Okay, y'all, it's the next day. Now I'm gonna cut up some red potatoes real quickly and just fry up some potatoes to go with our leftovers that we had last night. Now, last night I used, I had the chicken and the mushrooms and the spinach, and I served it over rice. Well, tonight I'll just serve the chicken, spinach, and mushrooms with a side of fried potatoes. So let me show you quickly how to do fried potatoes. So just get you, of course, these say that they're pre-washed on here, but I'll go ahead and just roughly go over them with a knife before I cube them up. I do not peel these. Can you see them? Okay. So let's see. I'm just gonna take some warm water. And all I'm gonna do, y'all, is just kind of cut off if there's any bad spots. And then all I'll do is I'll just kind of take my knife and kind of just go like that and just kind of roughly go over it with my knife. My knife it's a serrated knife, but any knife will do, but that's just what I do. And then just wash it off. And like I said, it says it's pre-washed, but this is just a habit of mine. I wash it. So, okay, so I'm gonna sit here and go through each of these and kind of roughly go over them with my knife. And then I'll come back and you'll see me take them and I'll quarter them up. And then we'll get my skillet going. Okay, y'all, now all I'm going to do here is I've got my potatoes all good and washed. That's about, one will get away from me. That's about all I did for just Derek and I. So what I'll do is I'll just take these and just quarter them up. So they'll kind of all be one size, so they'll cook evenly. So I will take all of these and just quarter them up real quickly. Okay, now that you kind of got the gist of what I'm doing, I'm going to finish these up and I'll be right back, and then we'll get our skillet started. All right, y'all. Okay, so I've got my pan good and hot. I had it on kind of a high heat at first to kind of let it get really good and hot, and then I just kind of put it on medium heat because you don't want that oil to splash everywhere. But I just took some extra virgin olive oil and put it in the bottom. Of course, you could use whatever you wanted to. Crisco, Wesson oil, whatever you have on hand. But I just like to cook with some olive oil. So, Okay, so it's getting hot. So I'm gonna take my potatoes and just throw them all in here. It's not that much, so I can fry them all at one time. And it should sizzle when you put it in there, just to kind of to know when your grease is hot enough. And if you don't know how to test your grease, see if it's hot enough, get a splash of water. Of course, before you put your potatoes in there, get a splash of water and just kind of splash it in the skillet, and it'll sizzle if your grease is hot enough. That's one way to test it. So then, because if it's not hot enough, your potatoes are just going to kind of sit there and absorb that oil, and you definitely don't want that. So it's good and hot and it's sizzling. And then, so what I'll do is just kind of coat all of those potatoes with that oil, and then they'll just start cooking away. Now, once they get about halfway done, I will sprinkle some salt and pepper, and I like to put some parsley on mine. That just adds a little something to them. I think parsley and potatoes go great together. So anyway, we're just gonna let these cook, and when I think they're almost done, I'll come back and I'll show you how I season them. Okay, y'all, so they've been cooking for about 15 minutes right now. They have. Let's see if you can really see them a little better. Anyway, they're starting to get like little brown edges on them and getting crispy. They're not as soft as I want them to be, because you want them crispy and soft at the same time. That's why you don't want to cook them on high heat. You want to cook them kind of on a medium heat, so they'll cook low and slow, because you want them soft but crispy at the same time. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and season them, because they probably have another 10 minutes left. So I'm just going to salt them. Of course, I'm not a big salt person, but potatoes need salt. So I'm going to give them 2 big rounds of salt, and then some pepper. And then I kind of wait to the very end to put my parsley on, but we'll also put some parsley on. So that's the only 3 ingredients I put on my fried potatoes, but I know people do them differently. So, but that's how I season mine. Okay, so I'll be back when they're all ready. Okay guys, now they have been cooking, see if you can see them. They have been cooking for, let's see, almost 35 minutes. So I did my 15 minutes, and then I salt and peppered, and so it's been about 15-20 minutes since I got on here last, and they are pretty much done. I was going to kind of show you how I can tell. You can see they're good and crispy on the side, and then I try to take my biggest potato that's in here, and it should just smush right into, and it did. Yay! So then that's when I'll turn the heat off, and then I'll put my parsley on there and just kind of let them sit there and simmer with the parsley on there. They are just delicious. If you've never tried these guys, you've got to try them. Now, they might not be the best for you. I did fry them in olive oil instead of Crisco. But anyway, so this will be my side dish to my chicken and spinach and mushroom that were left over from last night. So, okay guys, this is my second chicken dinner. Remember, I'm doing chicken for the week. This is my second dinner. The first dinner, I used 2 chicken breasts out of my 8 chicken breast pack. And then this night, I'm going to use 3 of those chicken breasts, and I've got 3 left for another meal. So, okay, let's start. I'm making artichoke chicken. I got the recipe from Simply Allie, her cleaning channel on YouTube, so check her out if you have not seen her. But that's where I got this recipe from. So, now I've washed my chicken. Now, there's a limit between washing your chicken, not washing your chicken. My first YouTube video where I used chicken, I had a good friend say, Robin, always wash your chicken. So, if my good friend is watching, comment something down in the comment section for me to say that you saw that I washed my chicken. So, okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our chicken cut up. But first, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be seasoning it with some lemon pepper, some salt and pepper, and I've got a can of artichoke hearts, and I've got a whole block of cream cheese, and a little bit of butter to kind of, so it won't stick to my pan. So, okay, so that's kind of the ingredients that we have. Then I've got my 3 chicken breasts, and I'm going to cut up into bite-sized pieces. So we'll start by just cutting off the yucky part of it. Always some part of a chicken that you're really not sure about. So, okay, and then I'm going to cut these up, like I said, in little bite-sized pieces. Okay, I'm not going to bore y'all cutting up all this chicken breast, so I'm going to come back after I get my chicken breast all cut up. Okay guys, I've got my 3 chicken breasts cut up into little bite-sized pieces. And now I've washed my knife really well. When it comes to working with raw meat, raw chicken, just, you might even feel safer just getting a new knife or something, a spoon or a fork. But I did wash my knife really well. And a little tip also, after I've cut chicken on a cutting board, I would normally spray some Clorox bleach cleaner on it, let it sit in the sink, and then I would put it in the dishwasher later. But since I don't have any Clorox cleanups, I haven't been able to find any in like 4 weeks, I will put it in my sink and just a little bit when I get through cooking and just pour some bleach over it, let it sit there for a few minutes, and then put it in my dishwasher. So just a little tip of what I do to make sure that my cutting board is sanitized, especially after chicken, because chicken scares me a little bit. So anyway, okay, so got my chicken cut up. Now I'm gonna take just this little bit of butter I have. You could definitely use more butter. I was just gonna finish up this stick of butter that I have in the refrigerator. So I'm just gonna cut it into little chunks. Just gonna give it some really good flavor and kind of give it a little liquid at the bottom so it won't stick. So then I'm just gonna kind of place them on my chicken like this. Okay, then it calls for a whole thing of cream cheese, a whole block of cream cheese. Now I just did 3 chicken breasts, so it's just my husband and I, so I am probably just gonna do half of the block. But if you did, of course, a bigger pan with much more chicken, you could probably get away with the whole block, but I'm just gonna do half the block today. So I'm just gonna kind of take my knife and just put chunks in here, like kind of like you did your butter. Try not to touch the chicken. Okay, so one more little chunk. I think that'll do me. Okay, so there is my, come off. There's my last chunk of cream cheese, okay? Then you're gonna take a whole jar, well, she calls for a whole jar, I don't know. I'll kind of check it out also to see if I need the whole jar or just a little bit of these artichokes. And again, I'm just taking them and I'm just gonna place them throughout the chicken as much as I want. Try not to get too much of the liquid. I think she might have got a little liquid in hers. I'm sure it can't hurt if you get a little liquid in yours, but I'm just kind of spacing mine out. And okay, I think one more, and I think that might do me. Okay, I think that's gonna do me. Now, oh, you know what I didn't do though? I planned on seasoning my chicken before I put my extra stuff in there, and I didn't do it, so I'm sure it'll turn out fine anyway. But I'm gonna take my lemon pepper, and I think she had some measurements on hers, but of course I'm not going to. I didn't write down the measurements. I'm just gonna sprinkle, like I normally do, my seasoning over my chicken. So, okay, maybe if I can get it to come out. Okay, there we go. So let's just, I think nothing goes better than lemon pepper and chicken. It's just a great little combination. Okay, so there's my lemon pepper. That seemed like a bunch, y'all, but it wasn't coming out very well, so it wasn't that much. Okay, and of course we're working with chicken, so I'm gonna make sure I salt it reasonably. Okay, and then of course extra pepper, because I'm a pepper girl. I always take my lids off of my salt and pepper. I don't know why. To me, I seem to be able to control it a little better when the lids are off, so go figure. Okay, so here's what it looks like. And I've got the oven preheated for 350, and I think I cook it for 45 minutes. Of course, I'll check on it in about 30 minutes and see what it looks like, but I believe she cooked hers for 45 minutes. So let's get it in the oven. Okay, so let's wait like 30 minutes and I'll get back and let you see if it was ready in 30 minutes or if I needed the extra 15 minutes. Okay, y'all, it's been exactly 30 minutes, so let's check on the chicken real quickly. Whew, my glasses are fogged up. Fogged up my glasses. Okay. just about done. So we're supposed to get in here. It's on the recipe and says come in here and kind of just break up everything that's still, it's our sour cream and stuff that hasn't absorbed. So we'll kind of come in here with a fork and get it all together. Okay, honestly, now that I've looked at it, I think maybe just another, if I said 10 minutes, I think maybe just 10 more minutes. And then I'm going to take some Parmesan cheese and sprinkle over the top of it. Okay, so 10 more minutes and we'll have supper on the table. Here, I'm just going to lop off my seasonings and put them back in the cabinet, and that completes y'all my second dinner night. And then coming up will be my third and final chicken dinner with my 8 chicken breasts. Okay, guys, I just got in from work, and I'm so excited to show y'all my last and final chicken meal. Tonight I'm going to do a recipe that I got from Ashley on her channel. It's called To Vacuum Do Us Part, and she fixes this quite often for her family, and so I've been wanting to try it, and I thought this was the perfect time to try it. So all that you need, I've got an onion. I'm not sure that, I don't think she puts onions in hers, but I have an onion, I have 2 cans of green beans, and I've got some little russet potatoes, some golden and red potatoes, and some salt and pepper, and then a package of Italian seasoning mix. I bought that specifically for this recipe in my last Walmart haul, so I'm excited to try this, and hopefully Derek will like it also. So I'm going to start with I went ahead and washed my potatoes, and I'm just going to quarter them up. And then once I have them all cut up and put in the pan, we'll start on the chicken. Now, I like to just always usually buy these little potatoes instead of buying like the big russet potatoes. Unless I'm cooking a baked potato, this is kind of my go-to. If you saw my bag earlier, I just like to buy a big bag of these golden and red potatoes. They're very easy to wash, and then you could just cook them whole, or just like I do here, they're just quartering them. To me, they're just so easier to use these small potatoes than to use a bigger potato. So hopefully that's a tip that you might want to consider, because sometimes when we have those big potatoes that we have to peel and wash, it's so time consuming. So I've just found myself over the last couple years just getting these little small ones, and they are just delicious. Okay, so again, once I get through cutting up these potatoes, then we will start cutting up the chicken. Okay, so finally have all these potatoes cut up. I did a pretty good bit of potatoes, as you can see. It took up most of the pan. When Ashley does her dish like this, she does a row of potatoes, a row of chicken, and then a row of green beans. Well, by the time I got my potatoes cut up and my chicken cut up, that pretty much took up my whole pan. So you'll see here in a minute that I just kind of put my green beans on top of it. So I was kind of like, ugh, I hated to waste those potatoes. I should have thought about that when I was cutting up all of those potatoes to begin with. But so mine's not going to look exactly like hers looks, but normally that's how you would want to do it. I mean, mine turned out fine, but just to have a row of potatoes, a row of chicken, and then a row of green beans, I think might be better. But anyway, I improvised and made it work. But okay, so here I'm just going to cut up this chicken. I wiped off the cutting board. You didn't really need to, but I wiped it off, and now I'm just going to cut them in half because these chicken breasts are really thick, and I really want this chicken to cook evenly, and so the potatoes and the chicken will all be ready at the same time. So you'll see me, I do this most often on all the chicken that I get. We get our chicken from Sam's usually, and they're pretty thick, and to me it's really hard to cook a thick chicken breast because then it gets usually dried out and not tasting very well. So anyway, so you'll see me here take these last 3 chicken breasts, and I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to kind of just cut them in a strip, but they're extra thin compared to what they were. I think Ashley might even take hers and cuts hers in like little chunks, little pieces. So you can also do that however you'd rather have your chicken. But right here, I'm just easily cutting them into in some smaller chunks and putting them in the pan. But as you can see here, I'm already run out of room. So really, I guess the ideal dish here would just be like maybe 2 chicken breasts, or just not 3 chicken breasts, not so many potatoes. So I would do it just a little bit differently, but like I said, it turned out great. All right, so let me get over here and get this in the sink real quickly, and I'll get my hands washed, and then we'll get this onion cut up. I know I said earlier that I just got home from work, and so I'm just throwing this together
I'm now working 8 to 5 again, Monday through Friday. So I think this is another great recipe. I know beforehand all the cooking things I did before I started back to work, I was staying at home, so I had much more time. But now that I'm back at work, it seems like, okay, now I've got to get back to the nitty gritty of fast and easy dinners. And because I do like to cook at least 5 days a week, I try really hard to do that. Or at least cook enough where I can at least eat a home cooked meal 5 days a week, is I guess what I should say. And so this was just so easy. I knew whenever I had seen her make this before several times that this is something that I definitely need to make because it looked so easy and it was just in one pan. So anyway, so just saying that this is just something for us working moms. As soon as we get in, we could even probably have this prepared in the morning time before we go to work and just cover it up with full in the refrigerator, and then when we get home, preheat the oven, let it kind of get to some room temperature, because I don't like to cook food right out of the refrigerator. I really like it to get room temperature before I bake it, so I'm just weird like that. But anyway, okay, so we have this onion chopped up. I'm going to put this onion in here, and then these green beans. I got 2 cans of green beans because I knew I was going to have a bunch, so I probably could have just used one, but I really wanted to have a lot of leftovers. So here you're going to see me go over to the sink and get these green beans, all the liquid I could out of these green beans. So we're going to drain the green beans, and then that will go on top of our chicken and our potatoes. And before we get to the end of this video, I just wanted to say really quickly, thank you so very much if you've made it this far in my video. That helps me so much when you actually watch my video all the way through. For you guys that are new to my video, my name's Robin. I'm married. I have 3 grown children. I work full-time, and I've just started a YouTube channel in March. So this is all new to me, so bear with me if I seem like an amateur, but I'm really stepped out of my box. I've been watching YouTube channels for about a year now, and I knew this was something I would love to do. I love sharing with people and sharing tips and things like that, and I truly take pride in being a great homemaker. And so anyway, I'm new. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, if you would take the time to hit that red subscribe button, I'd love to have you join my YouTube family. Also, people are saying that they can't comment on my videos. You must have a YouTube account with YouTube in order to comment on any YouTube videos. So that might be stopping you from being able to comment. So all you need is an email address to set up a YouTube account. It's very simple. I might even put like some steps down in the description box if you'd like, and then I can let you know how to get that going. So okay, back to the video. So there I've just showed you my Italian seasoning package that I got. I got 2 of those packages just in case, but I only needed 1, it looks like. So, but I had to, of course, take my hand and really get that seasoning down in there, because normally if I had my potatoes and then my chicken and then my green beans lined up like it should, I could have just easily put the seasoning on there. But of course, mine is kind of a hodgepodge right now. So I've got the onions and the chicken and the potatoes and the green beans, and now I've got my seasoning just kind of all in there. Now also, I'm not sure that Ashley does this, but of course, me loving butter, I took a little bit of butter and a couple of pats of butter, and I put it over my dish also. I know there would have been some liquid because the chicken kind of makes its own liquid, so there will be some liquid if you don't want to add butter to yours, but I do like to add some real butter to a lot of the dishes that I cook. So here, after I put the Italian dressing on there, I added a little butter on there. So, and also I wanted to mention that if you notice, I did change my cutting boards after I cut my chicken up. I did grab another little cutting board in order to cut my onion up. So just be aware of that when you're using raw meat, that it's always best to just use another cutting board, or if you don't have 2 of them, just take the time to go over to the sink and wash your cutting board.
Okay guys, I wanted to show you what it looked like before I put full on it. It's just kind of all in there. Nothing better than a 1-pot supper. So I'm gonna put some full on it real fast. Okay guys, so I've covered it with full, and I'm gonna bake it for about 45 minutes on 350. Okay, let's see how it looks when it comes out.
All right, friends, that completes my 3rd and final chicken meal of the week. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments which of these meals that you're going to fix for your family. See you in the next video. Bye.